everyone, so today's video is also being shot from my home away from home at the library, and today I will be talking about the manga Witch Hat Atelier. This manga is amazing. It is perfect for fantasy lovers. It is an epic fantasy tale, and it is so good. So in this book, a young girl named Coco has always dreamed of being a witch. When the story opens, Coco is doing some housework. She's just doing some laundry, and she essentially just talking about how she longs to be a witch, and she happens to see I think it's a Pegasus carriage flying by, and so she believes there must be a witch in the area. She runs down to the shop that her mother runs. I believe her mother's a seamstress. So she runs down to the shop, and her mother is in a flurry of activity. She has to get all this fabric and do everything, and so Coco asks if she can help, and her mother says yes, and so she agrees to help this kind of strange young guy. Definitely older than Coco. This is an adult and Coco's young. I don't know how old Coco is. I think she's around 12. So she asked him if she could help, and they kind of get to talking about the carriage, and she asks if it's his, and he says, no, I wouldn't have something like that. And so he wants like gray cloth or something, and she goes to help, and she's measuring the cloth out, and he says, now that's magic. What you're doing and able to do is magical. And she's like, oh no, magic is much more wonderful. And she tells him this story about how when she was very young, she was at some carnival or something with her mother, and she met this witch, and this witch passed along this storybook / picture book to her, as well as a magic wand. And Coco explains how she tried and tried in order to get it to work, but she could not, because magic is something that you have to be born with. So she just couldn't do it because she's not magical. And how sad she was about that. There's still part of her that dreams of being a witch, and that's what she wants to do and feels drawn to. But there's a part of her that also accepts that she can't do that, and she has essentially made the decision that she will live with and help her mother out, because she doesn't have any other family. It's just her and her mother. So she sort of resigned herself to that fate. And we do discover that the strange young guy is actually a witch. And so he says that he will help, but he has to do his work in private. So they set him up in this little area where he can do his witch work, and he goes there to do it. And Coco's kind of like really upset about this. She wants to be able to see the magic at work. She wants to know what it's like. So she, well, and the little boys are trying to sneak up and see what he's doing. So they sneak all the way up this ladder, and the boys give up because they say it's too dangerous, but Coco keeps going, and then she sneaks into the building and down the stairs, and she catches him doing the magic, and discovers that all he really is doing is drawing the symbols, and then it somehow activates the magic. And so later that night, Coco pulls out her little picture book, spell book, that witch had given her years ago, and starts trying to draw with the magic wand that she was given, and is able to do magic. And so she's really thrilled by this, and she keeps drawing the symbols and seeing what kind of magic she can unleash. But she's not getting a lot of them right because her circles are a little weird or her drawing's slightly off. So she decides that she's going to trace one of these symbols. She'll just put the paper right over it and trace directly from the book. And when she does that, she unleashes an extremely powerful spell, and it calls the witch who had gone to leave back in, because he sees this kind of bright explosion light from the spell, and so he goes to see what's going on. Meanwhile, Coco is sort of seeing the damaging effects of this spell, that she had no idea what she was doing when she did it, and her mother is turned into stone. So she ends up losing her mother, and she has no idea what she even did. The house is in shambles. I'm trying to remember if there was a fire, but her house is pretty much out of there. Meanwhile, the other witch returns and he's like, what have you done? What did you do? And she's like, I don't know. And it's revealed that magic isn't something that you are born with, that it all depends on the symbols and the ink. It's especially that magical ink and drawing the symbols. That's how magic is determined, and anyone can do magic, but they keep it a secret in order to keep the world safe. And that if the secret is discovered, then the person who discovers that will have their memory wiped. So Coco believes that she is going to have her memory wiped. However, it is decided that she will not lose her memory, that she will be taken on as an apprentice, and a bargain is struck. If Coco helps to find that book and the person who gave her that book, then she can retain her memories and she can become a witch for real. Which is a huge setup, and this all happens, I believe, in the first chapter. So beyond that, that's the initial setup. So Coco is going to go and become an apprentice, and the strange young man / witch that she meets is, I don't know if I'm saying this right, but Kifrey. It's Qifrey. Kifrey? I don't know. But he is the witch that Coco will apprentice under. And when she gets to his atelier, she discovers that he has 3 other apprentices. So 3 young girls around her same age that are all studying to be witches as well. And so then it kind of branches off further that this is going to be kind of like a school life drama as well, but not necessarily. So you do get to meet these 3 other girls and see what their main interests are and what are they into. Coco's roommate is a little standoffish, and she's from a family of very powerful magic users. This makes it really hard for her because when she first started testing, they tested her as like normal or average, so she's trying to overcompensate and be as powerful as the rest of her family. And so she is very standoffish of Coco, who just appears out of nowhere, and she doesn't believe that she is trained enough and doesn't deserve this position. And so there's immediately this clash between the two. The other 2 girls are fine. You know, they're okay. But we do see, you know, things start to happen and kind of conflicts growing between the 2, especially as it becomes known that there's kind of these forces at work to get Coco and make her do things or make choices that she shouldn't make. So we discover fairly early on that this group, which is called the Brimmed Hats, they do forbidden magic, and they want to kind of, well, in their opinion, free the magical world by doing these forbidden spells, and they want more people to do these forbidden spells. And for whatever reason, Coco is instrumental in this. That part hasn't been revealed yet, so I don't know why it has to be Coco or why it was Coco. I'm not sure, but they are definitely using Coco and trying to get Coco to do forbidden magic and bring about changes of some kind to this world. Meanwhile, the regular witches are just pointed hats. That's what they call them, so they don't have brims. So it's essentially, if you think about like the classic witch hat with the brim, in this story, those would be bad witches. And they just pointed hats, kind of more like the traditional wizard cap. They would be like the good witches. So it's kind of this battle between the brimmed hats and the pointed hats. So I have read the first 5 volumes of the series, and there are definitely some intense and pretty emotional storylines within the narrative so far. I'm really enjoying the world building as well as the magic system that's developed in this. I think it's fascinating. It also has some great characters in it. And you kind of want to know more about these characters and the background story. Especially Kifrey. He's very interesting. There's definitely something that must have happened in the past that is directly connected to the brimmed hats. Especially in the 5th volume, there's a little bit more about that that's kind of thrown in there. And so I definitely want to see what's going on there. I think volume 6 is out now, so I definitely have to pick it up and see where the story is going next. I think that it's interesting seeing Coco grow. And with her growth, of course, we get more and more of the whole magic system explained and the world building explained. And it's really quite fascinating because all of the characters are very different, and you start to see how this world is built and how even though there's baseline spells that they want everybody to learn, there's also a bit of freedom where you can actually maybe combine the spells to create a new spell. And Coco, being more of a novice at this whole thing, kind of has the freedom to see things outside the box. And I don't mean freedom as in they're like, Coco, do whatever you want, but I mean she just naturally thinks outside the box because she wasn't raised in this system and in this world. It's new to her, so she maybe sees possibilities and options that the other characters don't see and finds a way for them to work together a bit more. And I think that that's fascinating. But the other characters as well are really good about working together and learning from each other. But especially as their relationships develop, they start to see the potential in giving new things a try or thinking a different way. Not to the point of being a brimmed hat, but just thinking of the possibilities that are allowed within their system. So I do look forward to continuing this fantasy series. I think it's so good. Yeah, I feel like it would almost rival those just epic novels. But it's great because you also have that visual art that's tied in with it. And the art really is eye-catching and appealing, so I have enjoyed it so far. I look forward to seeing what happens in the next volumes. I look forward to seeing how they resolve things with the brimmed hats and the pointed hats. I'm kind of hoping that the series isn't overly long. A good solid maybe 18 volumes would be appreciated. I have no control over that, and I'll probably keep reading regardless of how long it is, but yeah, I would appreciate like not overly long. My shelf would appreciate it as well. But I'm so glad I picked up this series. I'm glad that I gave it a try. I would definitely recommend it to other fantasy readers and manga readers. It's very, very good. There's not too much else to say about it. I would just highly recommend this book. I realized that I didn't say who it's by, but it is Kamome Shirahama, Witch Hat Atelier. It's available now. Oh, this is interesting. I had no idea. Probably just because I don't necessarily pay attention. I just enjoy things, and then later I look and I'm like, oh. But Kamome Shirahama is an acclaimed DC and Marvel cover artist. So I'm going to look for the cover art by Kamome Shirahama. I feel like I would definitely buy an art book for this series because even the layouts are kind of magical and very like epically fantastical. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Witch Hat Atelier. I will be continuing this series. Yeah, I will be back with more manga reviews and other book recommendations. Until next time, bye.